Today is a very big day because we're going to work on fixing the leaks in the RV, which we only just discovered yesterday. We already have all of the things hopefully we can need to get started. You can probably hear the tarp rustling around on the roof. We laid it over just for now until we were able to get started. You know, it is what it is, and we're just going to get started and hopefully not have a leak by the end of the day. All right, much better. I don't mind getting this shirt messy. Pun intended. My mom is going to start off by cleaning the area, and then I will come in with the first layer of 𝗙𝗃𝗃 tape seal. 𝗙𝗃𝗃 paste. Come on.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. I mean, look at this, trying to hand something up to Rocky. I'm like, I cannot lift.
Don't hit your head.
I get it. Okay, I can get it.
All right, so she is currently on the roof, which you can probably hear. And she is working on cleaning the areas. That way I can come in with the Flex paste. I keep forgetting what it's called. That way the area is super clean and it can adhere really well. So while she gets the area started off for me, I'm going to show you what the bathroom looks like from the inside. When we got in the RV yesterday, the water was dripping down here and all along the counter, and then really just accumulating up in the corner. And I can show you some of the moisture tests that I did all across the RV again on a day that it was raining, which were completely different than the day that I did the tests when we were looking at the RV to buy it. To deep clean the roof, we decided to use Simply Green because I saw a video where a guy tested a bunch of cleaning products side by side, and this was the best performing one, so that seemed good enough to convince me. And it's only $7 for 64 ounces, which was more than enough to scrub the RV roof twice. Right now, she's just cleaning the areas I plan to work on today and not the whole roof. Also, as a side note, I really recommend getting something to kneel on for this project because my knees were in pain after this project. Looks like a Wendy's ice cream cone. Oh. Well, hello. This looks like Wendy's, doesn't it? Reminds me of like a Frosty.
Well, yes. Had it not rained, we would not have found that because it's as dry as can be right now.
So here are some before images of the fan's current sealant. As you can see, it's cracked in more than a few areas. The edges seem to be lifting up and the screws are beginning to peek through. So even if there hadn't been a leak, this is how I would know this area needed to be redone. But a big question I had to ask myself in each area was if I needed to peel off the sealant before adding another layer, or if it was okay to just stack on another layer. I found online people were saying anything more than 2 pre-existing layers means you need to peel and clean it off to start fresh. So I decided to just use my best judgment on each individual area, and only one area had more than one layer of sealant, so I decided to just reseal over most spots with the Flex paste. Also, I probably should have taped off the fan to keep it cleaner in smaller areas that I needed to squeeze Flex paste into. I used the same technique around the whole roof, going from piece to piece, checking the sealant and looking for cracks, pieces that were lifting off the roof or just needed repair, and then I would fully cover these areas in the Flex paste. When applying this, I used a putty knife and didn't worry about perfection or it looking perfectly smooth because we're going to be adding a layer over this later on. Next was the back seam, which was absolutely horrendous. But I just got to work using the same techniques, and while applying it, I made sure to have great coverage so there's no bubbles, holes, or uncovered spots. I really laid it on thick. We bought a spare can to make sure I had enough, and I was liberal with the amount I was using. I just kept thinking I don't want to have to get back up here in 2 months. Unfortunately, with any kind of sealant, we do need to be routinely checking because sealants shrink and change over time, but I'm just trying to give it the best and longest chance I can. Next was the Skylight, which I originally was thinking I would just apply Flex paste over, but looking at it closer, I decided to peel off the sealant instead. You're gonna hate me.
What?
If I'm gonna peel it off, then did you need to clean it?
I'll clean it a second time. That's gonna be the easy part once it's on. Oh, did I need to in the first place?
Yeah.
Oh, but I was.
I can't imagine it's easy to... Oh, it is easy to get off. But then as I began to look at it more closely while peeling it off, I began to realize all of the micro cracks forming in the base of the Skylight, and while I could simply cover them with more sealant, I did the responsible thing and didn't push the problem off until tomorrow, but instead decided it was time to replace the Skylight. That way I could do this project properly, ensuring we could get rid of all potential leak issues. Oh, interesting. Dang. That is not good. It kind of runs all the way here to that giant hole, and yeah. It's the start of another one right there. So that was the end of day 1 of the roof renovations, as we now had to wait for a skylight to arrive and learn how to fix those tiny cracks developing on the membrane. The AC shroud had a giant crack in it and the flex paste was still drying, so we're still using the tarp temporarily. But our next goal for day 2 would be cleaning all of the dirt off the roof. Here are some disgusting before images of how filthy the roof is. It was really ingrained in the cracks of the roof, and just scrubbing it wasn't enough to get everything off. When they bought this RV, it was from one of my mom's friends whose husband had passed away a while ago, and she didn't want to take trips alone in the rig. Maintenance on the rig had been primarily his hobby, so once he passed away, the rig just started to get neglected, so we have a small list of things we need to repair or work on to get it back to great shape, but for a 20-year-old rig, I think she's doing pretty well. To clean the roof, I put a mixture of Simply Green and water in a bucket and used a long-handled car cleaning brush. However, this really just seemed to push the dirt around and was not cleaning nearly enough. Did you hear that?
Sound like a, yeah.
Are we being bombed?
So you tried to start it and it backfired?
Yeah.
On.
We put the power washer on the lightest setting, but the whole time I was still very worried about piercing or hurting the soft membrane of the roof or ending up making more holes, so I tried to be cautious and not keep it in one spot for too long, but I could see the color of the roof literally change before my eyes, and it was a miracle. From far away, it almost looked like a brand new roof, but of course I'm not doing any of this for aesthetics, it's all for maintenance, so I still have many more steps to go. Not gonna lie though, it was very satisfying to see this roof go from this to this. So at this point, the Skylight had finally come in the mail, so I started scraping off the old one with a putty knife and removing all the screws, which were all completely rusted and would need to be replaced. I thought scraping off the sealant would be difficult, but it almost is scary how easy and fast it came off.
Who's the ruler of your life? Happiness is just a
Now I'm applying my favorite part of this process because I feel like it's what truly cements that there will be no leaks. Some people make videos on this stuff swearing by how great it is, and some people have gone years and years after installing this without having to redo their seams. I applied this same tape to my van build over 6 months ago, and it is still looking good as the day I put it on. So what most people use in this process is called Eternabond tape, but I use the knockoff brand from Amazon because the knockoff roll is $23 for 50 feet, while the on-brand Eternabond is $58 for 50 feet. The knockoff brand still has about 2,000 positive reviews, and I've personally had it on my own rig for 6 months and feel like it works just as well, so I don't feel the need to pay more than double for the name brand, but I would be curious just to buy the name brand one to actually compare them and see if they really are going to hold up the same. So if you want to see me do a video on that, comment below and I'll buy it just to directly compare it for this channel. Originally, I bought a roller to apply this, but I found because the flex paste was so bumpy, it was better for me to apply it by hand. To finish redoing all of the appliances on the roof and the edges all the way up and down the RV, I used almost a full 2 rolls of 50-foot Eternabond tape. I used 4 inches on all of the appliances, but 6 inches on the edges and the front and back seams. This is super easy to apply, but it's sticky as heck, so once you put it down, I feel like it's pretty darn permanent. My biggest struggle with this install was any curves or edges. The tape struggled to contour to them and they came out pretty ugly. Also, whenever I applied a piece of tape over another piece of tape, I always tried to lay them in an order that would help guide the water to flow off the roof easier. So while I applied the front and the back seams first, I actually left the edges undone so I could put the side pieces underneath so the water could run off easier. The tape is slightly visible from the sides, but that's the price, we're paying for having a 20-plus-year-old RV that had all those micro cracks, and I think it's definitely worth the peace of mind and honestly, probably not even noticeable to most people. My next project was replacing the AC shroud. This was unfortunately not cheap, which is kind of insane since it's only the top piece of the AC. I don't even want to know how much the actual full unit cost. However, we were very lucky because with this huge crack we had in the side, we thought that a full winter with it being exposed to the elements of rain and snow would have broken it, but 𝗏𝗏𝗏 must have a pretty hardcore unit because it still runs really great. So before moving on to the next step, I re-scrubbed and power washed the roof lightly because it had gotten just a little dirty naturally over the last few days, and I needed it cleaner than ever for our next step. Looking back, I wish I would have gotten disposable shoe covers for walking on the roof or kept clean socks on the roof or something to help stop myself from constantly tracing dirt back and forth whenever I walked across. So this is Henry's 𝗙𝗏𝗄𝗄. This is the final step of our insane journey to permanently sealing our RV roof. I'm assuming it's permanent because I think all of this work may outlast the RV, but we'll see. So this is a 100% silicone-based roof coating. It dries rain safe in 15 minutes, and the reason I chose this one over the other options was because they really advertise how it can reflect heat better and help keep your RV cooler in the summer heat. So that to me seemed to add some value, which is nice because this thing costs $349. There's 4.75 gallons in this container, which is said to cover 320 square feet, but they do also sell it in a smaller container of 0.9 gallons for about $117, which covers 70 square feet. Looking back, I think I would have just bought 2 of the smaller containers, but it is nice to know that if I ever want to go back and do more layers in the future in a few years, I can do that. I really wanted to lay this on thick, but we still have so much left over, so I'm not sure if I made the right choice there about which one I bought. The bucket it comes in is extremely heavy, and so I needed to actually get it into a smaller container in order to be able to lift it onto the roof. I used an old cup and scooped the paint directly into a tray that I had covered covered in foil just to make the cleanup process easier. And our first step in this process was painting around all of the nooks and crevices where the larger roller brush might not fit as easily or would end up making a mess. This definitely helps these harder to reach areas get better coverage. However, even after 2 to 3 coats on the whole roof, I did notice that I could still see the lines of where we painted around the appliances. Maybe because I didn't paint the roof directly after we did this, or maybe because we put it on so thick, but at least I know it's going to have really great coverage. But just add, if you lay it on thick like we did, it may add a visual layer wherever you paint. Also, I did tape off the AC hoping to keep it clean, but then I kept the tape on for like 2 weeks and I really struggled to get it off, and noticed that when I used the roller, some of it still got on the AC, so the tape got kind of bonded. So I just recommend being more liberal with the tape and taking it off right after. And I also painted over all of the places where I had used the Eternabond tape, and that really sealed any of the seams between tape strips in such a perfect way and gave it a more smooth edge that I think will help the water drain better from, but also just stop any of the tape edges from peeling up over time. You have a government drone on your roof. Going back to tell them that I know too much information.
Do you have all the brushes you need, Victoria?
Yeah, she has the brush. She thinks she's a Jedi baseball player.
She is. If you don't use it all,
Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. You can bet before we're through. Yeah, I'll repaint this roof.
This is her way of not having to hear my song up on the roof.
Wait, so how are you gonna dip that into there?
He was right, the brush was a little too big for the paint tray, but I just put it in sideways and made a mess and embraced it, so it worked out fine. The van's definitely parked on an angle, so the paint's like running that way.
It's right behind you.
Also, if you're working on this project, I recommend also checking out your window and side seams, and soon I'll be posting a video about that process as well, because I figured, why not fix it all while I'm just already on a roll? So to make sure to see that video, or my van build videos, or our upcoming very first RV overnight trip, make sure to press that subscribe button or check out the playlists I have on my channel.
Oh, that's all you're doing? That's fine.
Sorry.
Sure.
I'll be more exciting for you next time. I went back and forth for a while on whether or not I should be putting Eternabond tape on before or after I painted, but I decided on putting it on before so the paint could add on an extra seal to the edges of the tape. I read somewhere that the tape wouldn't apply as well to a silicone base, so I was worried if I painted first, the tape wouldn't adhere as well because the silicone is just so slimy, so I didn't want to risk it, so I put the tape down first. Also, you can visibly see lightly where the paint dries over the tape, but we decided to go for function over beauty with this project, so it is what it is. I definitely was panicking at first though with how much thicker the edges were painted on the appliances, and I didn't think it looked very nice, but once I got to the third coat, the edges were practically not visible. At this point though, on this first coat, I was indeed upset about how it was turning out because of those edges. That's how the guy in the video did it!
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Darn YouTubers!
Yeah.
Them whippersnappers! Look, they can say what they want about my painting skills, but they can't say we have a leak. Let them judge. It's probably fine. It's probably one of those scenarios where I hate it while I'm doing it and then it's done and I'm like, oh, I was fine. Overall, I think we're going to get years of lasting leak-proof RV life, so I would say this has been an absolute success, especially since the leak in the bathroom is completely gone. This definitely made a thick membrane, like skin, over the whole roof, because as the paint dried in the tray, it dried so thick and gooey and almost became like a solid skin of its own. So between this and the Eternabond tape, all of those micro cracks that were forming, I feel like are really fixed now. We also have plenty of paint left over, so in 2 years, if we ever want to go back and repaint, we can. But having watched a bunch of YouTube videos where there's those reviews from years later, I don't think we're going to have to. So I'm hoping my days up here on the roof in the hot sun are over.
Oh, it's slimy. And covered in bugs. I thought it was wet, it's just that shiny. Alright.
Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful. It's been really fun for me to take a break from the van build and work on a new project and learn some new skills. Right now, we're only going to be fixing the leaks on the RV because this was of a serious imminent nature, but don't worry, the van build and the van content will be back soon. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.